Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Ed meeting on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2022 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by submission of notice of time, date, location, or instructions for remote access to the Hunterdon Democrat on December 9th, 2021, and the Star Ledger on December 7th, 2021. Notice and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting has been posted on the North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School and provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, Califon Borough, Town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as all other interested parties, and posted on the district website. Fire exits are located in the direction indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a common orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. At this time, I do request that you please silence all cell phones. And Katie, can you please take a roll call vote?
Ms. Bonomi?
Present.
Mr. Chapman?
Present.
Ms. Cristologo?
Present.
Mr. Farbanish?
Present.
Ms. Hintz?
Present.
Ms. Hoffman? Mr. Kirchberger? Mr. Mulek?
Here.
Ms. Salino?
Here.
Mr. Spanton?
Here.
Mr. Straight? Absent. And Ms. Viato?
Sure.
Thank you.
Can we rise for the flag salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I call for a motion and a second to approve agenda item 4.1, which are the minutes from the March 22nd regular school board meeting?
So moved.
Tara? Oh, Shelley?
I'll second.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? All in favor? Aye.
I need to abstain. I was not here.
Okay. Motion carries.
Motion carries.
At this time, we'd like our school board student representatives to present their report. Vanessa for North Hunterdon.
Of course, so I just want to start off about talking about some activities that we have coming up this week, such as Day of Silence, which is a day where we stand up for the LGBT community to spread awareness about the effects of bullying and harassment of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning students. So students take a day-long vow of silence to represent the silencing of the community. We also have Spike for a Cure coming up on Friday, so a lot of students are excited about that. Another thing that we also have coming up is Relay for Life, so we still have lots of kids signing up for that. A lot of the community is still signing up for it, so we're really pushing to get as many signups as possible. Special Olympics has started practicing, so they have their competition on May 1st. Another thing that I really want to bring attention to, so some activities that we did have was the therapy dogs. Really like those. The only complaint that we have is that we wish there was more signups. So there wasn't enough people that could see the dogs. Personally, I didn't get to see them. So it would be really nice. I heard a lot of good comments about that. Another thing that I did want to talk about was that the senior class is really excited about project graduation. So we really want to thank the PTSA for putting that together, because I have heard a lot of word of signing up, who's going, who's not going. So we're really excited to partake in that. I looked into the tutoring times that I was questioned last time. We do like the times that we have now. The only thing is maybe extending them a little bit later now that we have the AP exams coming up these next couple of weeks. So some students would like to get in a little bit more crunch time studying, just about little questions that they have before going into these bigger exams. Besides that, the only other thing I want to touch base on is the final show that we have at North, the Spring Cabaret, which will be on May 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Does anybody have any questions for Vanessa? Thank you. Bethany, you have an update from Voorhees?
Yes, so as the year progresses, Voorhees High School has facilitated many projects and we've had numerous successes. Our drama club presented a musical, Crazy for You, April 8th, 9th, and 10th. really big success for them. Prom tickets have started to be on sale this week, and they're on sale until the 29th, which is Friday, for our prom on May 26th, which is at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Mock trial came away with county competition, which is a big win for them. Our Spectrum Club also held a day of silence in solidarity with members of the LGBTQ+ community. Students for Change held a successful exchange program with students from Rahway High School. So they came in and walked around their school and learned a bunch of things about Voorhees. They came and talked to teachers and students. And it was a great way to see how Voorhees is run, and they had played games, and they really enjoyed their time there. Our baseball team, who were last year's state champs, are currently 5-0 in the Skyline Conference and 8-1 overall. Girls lacrosse has produced a 6-2 record for this season as well. And mask optional has been a seamless transition, seemingly. And that's really the end of my report.
Anybody have any questions for Bethany? Thank you. At this point in time, we're going to open the meeting up for public hearing and adoption of the 2022-2023 school year calendar. Our school year budget, I'm sorry. It's going to be a quick meeting if it's just a calendar. Katie, I'm going to let you roll with it.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Catherine Blue. I'm the Business Administrator for North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District. The following presentation is to explain the 22 and 23 school year budget, the following school year budget. So the budget's been prepared for the over 2,100 students at both North and Voorhees and the over 300 vocational students that are also in our high schools. The budget was developed to maintain all of our current academic, co-curricular, and athletic programs. It is a priority for our district to build a budget that will maintain healthy and safe facilities, to hire and maintain top professional staff members, and to continue to provide opportunities for excellent student achievement. So the overall budgetary tax increase is 1.7%. This is a net increase. The total general fund budget is increasing 2.8%, which is being offset by a 1.1% decrease in the debt service. The 1.1% reduction we're utilizing is a return of funds to the taxpayer. We had a successful referendum in 2016, and since then all of the projects have been completed, and they were completed under budget. Now is the time that the district can return those funds back to the voters as an offset to their tax levy payment. So the ability to raise our general fund is also to 2.8% is by using banked cap. So in the 2020 and 2021 budget, the district did not utilize the maximum allowable increase of 2%, so therefore that amount was banked. So what is bank cap? Per statute, the amount that the district did not utilize in that 2021 school year can be banked for 3 succeeding budget years. We used a portion of that last year, and we're using a portion of that this year. Between myself and the Finance Committee, we've been analyzing 7-year projections for the district budget, and we're seeing how expenditures right now are outpacing our revenue. And if we do not utilize all of the 2% allowed, that could put us into trouble 7 years from now. So therefore, we have a 3-year plan to utilize the bank cap from the 2021 school year in conjunction with returning those referendum funds to the taxpayers to allow us to increase taxes under the 2% while still raising the general fund 2.8. So how do we compare to other districts? Our per pupil costs, you can see in this chart, are compared to other regional high school districts in Hunterdon County. The overall per pupil costs are in light blue. The administrative costs are in dark blue, and the classroom instruction costs are in orange. So as you can see, North Hunterdon-Voorhees is the lowest in all of those categories, even though we operate 2 school buildings in comparison to the other 2 schools on this screen, which only have 1 school building each. So state aid is also another main driver of our revenue. We discussed our primary revenue source, which is tax levy. State aid, you can see, is decreasing $470,000 approximately from last year to this year. This is an annual impact to our budget, which is the state calculating the declining enrollment in our area for the past several years. So cumulatively, our state aid revenue has decreased over 1.6 million over the past 5 years, as you can see in this chart. And these are projected to continue until 2025. As you can see in this chart, you can see the 1.4 million in tax levy increase offset by the approximate 470,000 in state aid reductions. So the overall operating budget is 61,275,608, which is 920,000 and change more than last year. So as far as what makes up our budget, the largest part of our budget is personnel salaries of 50% and the associated health benefit costs of 15%. So salaries and health benefits as 65% of our budget. The other large budget drivers for us are transportation, professional services, and out-of-district tuition. So the appropriations that are built into our budget, what is really driving the budget, and what is included in those large sections that we reference? Well, the budget is in support of anti-bias activities and professional development. We're working to maintain our aging facilities, including enhanced cleaning protocols that have been very effective through the COVID-19 pandemic. We have enhanced school security that includes a school resource officer and class 3 officers at each high school. We have a district-wide camera system along with electronic IDs and a visitor ID system that provide enhanced security measures. And mental health is and has been a top priority. Each building has full-time crisis clinicians for mental health support, as well as support for our Lion Pride Academy at North. The district is maintaining our technology initiative for the one-to-one device for every student. The hardware and software is continuing to support remote learning if it's needed in the future. We also continue our robust athletic programs that include 18 types of sports. Capital projects that are planned for the summer of 2022, which are not included in this budget but out of capital reserve, are the resurfacing of the Voorhees tennis courts to rectify safety hazards, the regrading of the asphalt area under the North Pedestrian Bridge for safer vehicular access and the clearance height of the bridge, and site improvements at the theater entrance of North to improve the security lighting, better building signage, and to replace brick pavers to eliminate safety issues. So what is the budget tax impact for each municipality? We have 12 municipalities, and each year this allocation can change based upon 2 reasons. The total equalized valuation of properties for that municipality, or the ratables, or the number of high school students that are attending from that municipality. So for this reason, each taxpayer may not see a flat 1.7% increase. They may see something that is a different fluctuation, and that is based on those other factors. So this chart is just to show what our tax rate was last year compared to this year for each municipality, and then how much it is for each $100,000 of value for these properties. So what are the next steps? We have our public hearing and adoption of the budget tonight. There'll be an opportunity for public comment on the budget primarily. Then we'll certify the taxes to the municipal clerks, implement our 22-23 budget, and then post all of those resources on our website along with this presentation. Thank you for your time.
During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the board with questions or comments on the 2022-2023 school year budget. The public is requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and state their name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and to direct their comments to the school board president. Does anyone have any public comment regarding the budget?
My name is Lynn Moore, I live in Union Township. I want to thank the board for everything that they do. This is not an easy thing that you guys do, especially the budget part. I just want to talk about the importance of having the robust budget that we have. And yet, the largest part is salaries, and that's for good reason. I think it's wonderful that this board board is willing to pay the kinds of monies and use the taxpayers' funding to have excellent teachers in the school. Once again, the schools are winning awards, and getting accolades and considered by the media to be one of the better schools in New Jersey. And I think a lot of the reason for that is that we're willing to pay for good teachers. I personally am a person who does not mind paying taxes. And maybe that's because I was adopted and it saved my life, because a caseworker saved my life. I hate tax time because it's paperwork, but the taxes themselves, I don't at all mind paying. And my thought is, if taxes are going up because of the schools, then that's a good thing. It means we are investing in the future of our, not only the futures of our children, but the future of this country, and this township, and this county, and this state. Bringing into the adulthood the students who are ready for a complex world. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for being willing to have that robust of a budget.
Any other, anyone else interested in providing public comment on the budget? Okay. Seeing none, I'd like to call for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 042622-6, establishing the 2022-2023 school year budget, including maximum travel reimbursement and maximum expenditures for professional services.
So moved.
Second.
Deb?
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Chryslova?
Yes.
Mr. Parvanish?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkberger?
Yes.
Mr. Mealy?
Yes.
Ms. Selina?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Mr. Sherry is absent. And Ms. Beato?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Motion carries. At this point in time, we're looking for the chief school administrator's report.
Prior to COVID closing our schools, our board meetings, we used to have the principals recognize students from each building, recognizing the achievements of those students. We're bringing that practice back tonight. I would first like to introduce Dr. Greg Cottrell from North Hunterdon.
I'm going to ask Selena and Ron, if you could come up and join me, please. Okay. Good evening, members of our Board of Education. I'm very pleased to have with me two students that we are very, very proud of at North Hunterdon for distinguishing themselves and distinguishing our school for their academic excellence. So I'm here joined tonight by Selena Zhang as well as Ryan Chen. Both Selena and Ryan took the AMC, which is the American Mathematics Competition, and scored high enough to qualify for the AMY, which is the American Invitational Mathematics Exam. That's a big deal to get accepted to qualify for that. So the AMC is a series of exams as well as curriculum materials that build on problem-solving skills and mathematical knowledge that begins as early as middle school, and then they take the test here in high school. So it's a very big deal. We only had 2 students that advanced, and not every school even has any students that advanced. So we had 2 that did this, so we're very proud of them. And also in addition to that, Selena actually scored a perfect score on the AMTNJ, which is the the Association of Mathematics Teachers of New Jersey, as well as the USAMBO, which is the USA Biology Olympiad. She was a semifinalist there. So these are 2 students, and just for everyone's knowledge, too, Selena's a sophomore and Ryan's a junior. So I think we have many more great things.
Wow.
So we're very, very proud of them.
Just a quick photo. Ms. Beato, could you join?
Married
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
halfway in front of the window.
In the window.
That was a poorly framed photograph. Photoshop.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Ron Peterson, the principal of Voorhees.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see everybody again, and to the new board members who haven't met me yet. I'm Ron Peterson. I'm the principal of Voorhees High School, so welcome. And if there's anything I can help you with, any of you, just let me know. With that being said, we wanted to honor a program that did a first last year, and looks like they're continuing it this year. Unfortunately, they're in season right now, so I'm thinking they're either on the bus on their way back or still playing, and that's the Voorhees boys baseball team. Last year, the boys baseball program enjoyed a historic 2021 season. They finished with a record of 25-4, which set a new school record for wins in a season. 3 of the 4 losses were by 1 run, the other being by 2. They advanced to the semifinals of the Hunterdon-Voorhees tournament and won the Scotland Conference Valley Division. But the bulk of their greatness was centered in the NJSI AA state playoffs. After a close opening win over Monmouth and a convincing quarterfinal win over Spotswood, the Vikes traveled to the top-seeded Rumson, where they came from behind twice in extra innings in a game that took 2 days due to rain. They claimed the Central Jersey Group 2 sectional championship with a 9-2 win over Raritan 2 days later, the second in program history. But the Vikes weren't finished. They took care of business in the Group 2 semifinals against Manchester and beat Hanover Park with a thrilling walk-off single to become the Group 2 champions on June 19th of 2021. They were named the #1 ranked team in the area by the Express Times and the 18th ranked team in the state of New Jersey and the Skyline Conference Team of the Year. And Coach Corey Kent was named the Express Times Baseball Coach of the Year and has just received his award from the Skyline Conference for Coach of the Year for baseball for winning the state championship at a luncheon for the Skyline Conference on Monday. As Bethany stated, they're also having a great season this year because it's winning is contagious. And the winning ways of the Voorhees baseball team has continued. They are currently 8-1, coming off of a win over the weekend of Del Barton, who was ranked within the top 20 in the state and is usually a baseball powerhouse. This past Sunday in the Autism Awareness Tournament, and they're playing Bernards today. We were hoping they'd make it back in time. We were kind of also hoping that the rain might have done it, but I know Coach Kent's happy because the pitching rotation stays. So I will make sure, I want to thank Mayor Scavalla for printing out all the certificates, not only for the athletes that are still on the team, but last year's graduating athletes. We're going to make sure that they receive these, and I'll make sure we take a team photo with that, so we can give that to Mary so she can post that as well. The last thing I want to add about that team from last year, as great as they were on the field, it couldn't have happened to a better bunch of young men. They really represented what it is to be a Voorhees Viking to the utmost. They really were a great group of character guys that were on that team, so we're proud of them. Okay. Thank
I have just a couple other announcements. I would like to extend our congratulations to the Voorhees mock trial team who won the 2022 Hunterdon County mock trial competition. In the regional competition, Voorhees made it to the finals but were defeated by the team from Burlington County. Great performance by the 2022 Voorhees team. Also want to share that the month of May is a busy time for testing in the district. Advanced placement exams will be administered during the first 2 weeks of May. Then during the week of May 16th, freshmen will take the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment for math and English, and juniors will take the science assessment. Information has been shared with all parents and students as we will run 2 bus schedules the week of May 16th to accommodate testing. May is also prom month. North Hunterdon Senior Prom will be held on May 20th, and the Voorhees Junior Senior Prom will be held on May 26th. We hope our students have a great time. HIB report for this month, we had 7 incidents reported and investigated. 3 of those incidents were founded. I need a motion for last month.
Can I call for a motion and a second to affirm the determinations of the HIB incidents reported at the March 22nd, 2022 board meeting?
Second.
Tara and Deb? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
Abstention?
abstaining.
Any nays? Any objections? All right. Motion passes, Katie?
And the monthly reports are attached for your information.
Thank you. Just want to let everyone know that May 22nd, 2022 is our annual goal setting and regular board meeting.
May 24th.
I'm sorry?
May 24th.
Oh, May 24th, 2022, sorry. Is the annual goal setting and regular board meeting at 6 o'clock, which is a different time here at the district office. At this time, I want to go to the committees and see if they can report out their minutes. Tara, why don't we start with community relations?
Oh, we didn't have it, it was canceled this month.
Yeah, it was kind of like a hybrid.
Yeah, so, but Jeff touched upon the activities that are going on with the students, and it's quite a busy time of year. So,
It is.
you know.
Thank you. Deb, you want to go to curriculum?
Sure. We had another robust agenda this month. There were 5 topics that we discussed. The first was the draft 2022-2023 professional development plan. We reviewed the draft of next year's professional development plan that the Professional Development Committee developed within the school administration. We also discussed how a new mandate from the state is in place for next year. It is to integrate information about Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders into the curriculum. So this will be added to a focus of our goal related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The district also will be providing summer hours to staff members in order to incorporate this content into the curriculum as mandated. The district will be implementing a new digital citizenship, I can't speak today, curriculum next year. Very exciting. This curriculum will help students understand how to be responsible citizens online and how to evaluate the credibility of resources, among other topics, which actually came up in a meeting today, which was just to prove the importance of this for us to teach our students. We also discussed the professional development topics that the state is requiring on an annual basis. The final plan will be on next month's board agenda for the professional development. The next item we discussed was mental health supports within the district. We reviewed the continuum of mental health supports we have in place currently. We also discussed a survey that students complete 3 times a year, and based on the responses, the support that the district supplies to these students, confidential results, excuse me. The third agenda item is we discussed 2 items under the curriculum, the April that are on the board agenda, the home instruction and out-of-district placements. The 4th item discussed was the monthly data analysis that we do. In this past month, we discussed the 3rd marking period grades. We reviewed also just the proposed topics. We reevaluated what we will be looking at each month going forward as a committee. We added to the analysis for the upcoming year, marking period grades and final grades of the year. We also discussed and added data on the benchmark assessments and the PSAT, so that will be new analyses that we will be looking at with the administration. And last but not least, we discussed the recent in the news, the sex education in 2020 New Jersey standards, the changes that are for K through 8 schools, but we discussed them as well. We discussed COVID and how some states, what they're doing with mask mandates, and something we did not discuss but is worth just including, and it might be in John's report as well in finance, that the ESSER funds that have been given to the school districts we will actually be moving some of the funds, and we're hiring an outside company to help supplement the tutoring needs, which I know that you asked and we're delivering as a district. So there's a need for additional hours that the teachers cannot support. So we're just going to take some of those ESSER funds and put it into that. Does anyone have any questions? That's great, thank you.
Thanks. John, kicking
Sure.
it over to Facilities Finance.
Thank you. Our committee met on the 11th, and, the big topic was the budget, so I'd like to thank Katie and her staff for an excellent job. It was a challenging set of circumstances as we see declining state aid, we see escalating costs, and maintaining a reasonable budget for the taxpayers. It's not an easy task, especially when we're looking forward a number of years and seeing somewhat of a fiscal cliff when some costs will catch up with us. So we don't want to be blindsided when that happens, but yet we still want to be respectful of people's tax dollars today. So thank you for that. Other things that we talked about on the agenda, there's an RFP out for substitute staffing services, just so that we maintain some competitive pricing. Also, because of the referendum and the projects contained in them that we're working on for November, our architectural services has exceeded the amount that was budgeted originally, so you'll see some action on that in the budget. Also, regarding the Polytech, the building that we received a presentation on, they've been meeting, just meeting every 2 weeks, so they're still working towards that. Hopefully they can meet some of their aggressive goals to break ground and get that project up and going. Another concerning item, as most people can imagine, transportation outlook with the cost of the rising cost of fuel is problematic. It's bad enough having bus drivers, salaries, but now fuel on top of that is a challenge. So we are, the office is looking into some of those routes and some creative solutions to keep costs somewhat under control. Also, lastly, Katie reports that the solar project, they're nearing completion, so we can finally tidy that all up. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions? If not, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe you know this, John, the declining support from the state, that is a formula? And it's based on just student population?
Well, I mean, Katie can probably attest better to the exact formula, but it's something we've been, according to the presentation, we've been dealing with for a number of years, and some districts are really getting hammered by this. Some are seeing increases, some are flat. We happen to be, losing substantial amount of money, and we're partway through this process, and so it reduces that number each year.
Yeah, I've heard. What I'm basically trying to understand is what is about our district that makes us go down and others go up?
Enrollment.
Because,
And property
it's
values.
basically.
And
Property
There's other
values.
components of it. The driving factor is enrollment. They also look at us and say, we're over adequacy. So that's the total amount of our budget and how that compares to other school districts in the state. So they're saying that, depending on how much you spend, they also take that into the equation. So I could talk to you offline.
I'm not looking for details. That's what I'm trying to understand. It's about declining enrollment, and I guess that last comment is kind of, we're viewed as a little inefficient versus some other parts of the state or something
It
like
depends
that?
on how much you spend in your budget versus the comparison of other districts. So they take that as a ratio factor as well,
Even though you show that we're like,
per pupil spending it,
okay,
right?
all right. And then the other quick question is, you mentioned the architectural thing. Is there a simple reason why we went way over on architectural plans? Is it something we didn't anticipate doing and we did it anyways?
I don't have, I just know there are a lot of projects. I don't have the precise answer, but,
Annually, we typically spend under a certain threshold, so when you approve the budget, you set an annual limit for architectural services, and last year we were planning the referendum, and we were authorizing, architects to do more project planning than we would typically do in preparation for that referendum, so we just had to increase that total annual cost, but we don't typically have to do that.
Anyone else? Okay. Shelley, personnel.
Personnel meeting, personnel met on April 13th. I had to think about that. It's a little off schedule, but yeah, April 13th, we met virtually. We discussed the personnel portion of the agenda, and committee members were present except for the exception of Ryan and John Miller. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Rob, last but not least,
Yes, thank you.
policy.
The Policy and School Security Committee met on April 11th, and all committee members were in attendance. We briefly reviewed the policy, the mandatory policies that are up for second reading. There's no real further comment on those. There's also a couple of mandatory regulations that are on the first and only reading. We briefly discussed the regulation 2431.4 around treatment of sports-related concussions, because there was some question about the clarity of the language that was, I guess, discussed and adequately addressed. We had planned to have a discussion around policy 9130. We've talked for the last couple months about additional languages to clarify re-challenges to library resource material, but we tabled that discussion until a future meeting when we'll be able to have the board attorney participate in that discussion, so we can finalize language to bring to the board that clarifies our position on that. At that time, we also saw a draft of the resource material challenge form for reporting out. We've been talking for several months about the fact that we wanted to, if we're ever facing future challenges on resource materials, that there'd be a more consistent approach to how the reconsideration committee would read out their results to the board. So the building administration has been working on revisions to basically making a more standardized form that would be used by that reconsideration committee when reading out to the board. So we did discuss that. The bulk of the meeting was a presentation by Shane Berry, who is the district's school safety leader, and he gave a very thorough presentation on the district's security policy and procedures that are in place for both buildings, and I think it was quite well received by everyone, and there were a couple of new board members who hadn't seen the scope of the security environment that we have, and so I think it was well received. And I guess I would just offer up that for anybody who hasn't had that presentation, because it's not obviously made available publicly for lots of security related reasons, but if you haven't heard Shane talk about it, I would get on his calendar, and it's well worth an hour to hear about what's going on and what the investments we've made. So that's our discussion. That was our meeting. Anybody have any questions?
I think
So-
Brian has a question.
So at least maybe just for the first and only reading of mandatory regulations, you've said in the past that many of these changes are suggested by a third party that kind of helps us keep our policies clean and up to date.
Right.
Would you characterize all those changes in the first and only readings as those kind of changes? Or were there any that you as a committee said, I want to propose some change?
No, all of these are that sort of mandatory language cleanup that seems to keep consultancies in business.
And us, on the right side of everything. But, okay. Sometimes it's a lot of changes, and it's hard to know But it's those kind of changes, or there's somewhere hidden in there, there's this, like, you as a committee decided you're gonna do something different about policy.
Yeah, no, and we would certainly, like, my experience has been that we would present it that way. Like sometimes we're looking at policies and we're making modifications, like, or recommending modifications based on what's best for our district. 90% of the time though, like what we're doing is getting handed policy updates that update like references to state statutes or change the word student to pupil and then back the next one. So,
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I know Ryan and Deb both attended some meetings this month on behalf of the board. Did you attend, or Tara, did you, just Deb?
And
NJSBA.
School boards, virtual,
Yeah.
but, the state delegate meeting is May 14th, so.
Okay. And then you attended a leadership meeting for
So the Hunterdon County School Board Association had their meeting on March 24th. Thank you, Ryan, for flagging that.
That's why I thought Ryan.
Yeah. So the main topic initially discussed was the upcoming workshop in the fall 2022 for all board members as usual, or pre-COVID as usual. It's being held in Atlantic City. Registration is open for any board member who would like to register for the seminars as well as housing. The dates are October 24th through the 26th. So you can just go to NJSBA's website and it's a big banner right on the homepage to register. And then overall, this particular month, it was just president and vice presidents of boards that attended the meeting. And basically it was sharing insights on public events, what's it like now that school districts are back into school full-time and masks were removed. Gwen Thornton, our Hunterdon County NJSBA rep, just asked all of us to share insights on any public events like plays, what's happening in that respect. She asked just about what it has been like dealing with or working with state and local health departments. She asked for some insights on how ESSER funds have been used, and I am really happy to say that some of the things that I presented that our administration is doing, the other districts were not doing, so they were really thankful that we shared that and they're bringing it back to their districts, so thank you, Mr. Bender. Board meetings, they talked about, should they be virtual, should they be hybrid, just that kind of sharing of insights. But the biggest bulk of the meeting was talking about regionalization because of the decrease in budgets in all of the Hunterdon County school districts, whether it's like K through 8 or high school, and just how some school districts are truly, truly struggling, and what to do in the future. So they did talk as a group about regionalization and what the positive impact could be. So that was it.
So like, what was the takeaway from that discussion on regionalization? Like a lot of the discussion was, like, are people like starting to be more open to that idea, or was it mostly about the negative? Like, what was the end result of that? What did you take away from it?
So my takeaway was that districts, especially K through 8, that were very opposed to it in the past because they also have had the few years like we have of decreased funding. They're now kind of seeing the light of what that could mean for their students and for their tax-paying residents. There's a lot of misinformation out there that those board members were talking about why they were against it, and the majority of the reasons Gwen had to correct them and say that those points were not true, to the point where Gwen actually offered the Hunterdon County school districts to do a meeting just on the appropriate facts of regionalization. So those of us in the meeting all said, yes, please do that, and we will have attendance. So
Okay,
that
thank you.
answers,
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. At this point in time is an opportunity for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the school board with questions or comments. The public is requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state their name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and to direct their comments to the school board president. While all the comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate, school board members will not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. The public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length unless there are unusual circumstances. Those appearing will be allotted 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak twice until those that have not yet had an opportunity to speak have had a turn. Does anyone, would anyone like to approach for public comment?
Lynn Monroe, Union Township. I was just wondering if there could be a clarification either this evening or in some other forum as to the actual criteria for the complaints from students about bias. I can't remember the exact name of what the acronym, but the criteria for determining whether or not the incident is valid.
Topic that you guys aren't going to be happy about. Okay, it has taken me a few months.
Could you announce your name,
Oh,
please?
sorry, Gallo, Lebanon Township, I apologize. It has taken me a few months to recover and time to gather the thoughts regarding the unanimous decision regarding the issue of the books. Being a mother of 4, I observed a lot, the good, the bad, the ugly. Being a parent is by far the hardest job God has given us. He has instructed us parents to raise his children in his way, not the world. And he gave us an instruction manual, the Bible. And you may not believe that or agree with that, but I can assure you it's true. God warns us over and over not to be jaded by the world, not to be coerced, tricked, manipulated, or persuaded. It is the world's ways versus God's ways. However, he loves each and every one of us, whether we believe in him or not. His grace and forgiveness and salvation is for all. You have all chosen, including the abstentions, to keep the pedophilia being distributed amongst minors, which is a crime. If the school won't hold you accountable, we the community will, mostly God. We care about all the students, which includes the LGBT students. I don't want to see any child taught sexual behaviors. That is a parent's job, and it's a family's individual personal choice how they want to teach and raise their children. Any kind of sexual behavior, perversion, or pedophilia that shows me that you have done nothing to protect them. Our children are being taught that their identity is in their sexuality. They're being taught that they are not valued by who they are, God's perfect creation, but by what they are. It's gender picking or promoting sexual activity. There has no bearing on whether you're hetero, homo, or somewhere in between. To teach minors that they should explore their sexuality, teach them to question their natural gender, and to manipulate the students to believe that they have a right to choose these types of behavior without parental consent or without parents even knowing, is straight up criminal. Mr. Bender, you and the board have and are currently still giving students profiling surveys. These surveys are crossing over delicate boundaries and invading into the students' private and personal information. This collection process is putting our children in danger. Their confidential and personal information is collected and sold to third parties. You have invaded each and every one of our homes and are violating our individual family values. These surveys either teach the students that they're either victims or they're oppressors. To say that CRT is not being taught in our schools is a lie. CRT is being taught under the guise of SEL. I'm asking you all, please stop creating division. Stop administering these surveys. They're unnecessary and they're biased surveys. Let's return the focus back onto academics, which is also another national crisis. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak during?
Back up again. Lynn Monroe, Union Township.
Wait, Lynn, 1 second. I just want to make sure.
Nobody else wanted, I mean,
Yeah.
I looked around.
Someone's coming up.
Go ahead, please do.
My name is Kasia Kurski, I'm now a sophomore here, and I have 8th grader who's coming here next year.
I'm sorry, I can't hear a word that you're saying.
Is it better?
Yeah, can you start from the beginning, please?
Sure. My name is Kasia Kurski, I'm a sophomore here, and I have a son who's in the 8th grade, he's going to be coming here next year. We are very excited, at the same time I'm not, because there's so many issues that I'm having trouble as a mother, as Nicole stated, to even think about. I'm not prepared, I don't have a speech prepared, I'm just going to speak from the heart as a mom. Matthew 8, verse 16. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around the neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Those are very strong words Jesus said. And one day we all going to be facing God face to face. There'll be no lawyers, nobody to support you and give the reason. It's going to be you and God. And He's going to ask you, I gave you those children in your care. Every one of you. He gave me my children in my care. His children. What am I going to do about this? I cannot watch. I just cannot watch. Seeing that our children being, not even forced but encouraged to read those disgusting books and setting them up for something that is absolutely terrible. I mean, we are grooming those children for future pedophiles. I mean, if the child's learning this, okay, so sex with a 9-year-old boy having sex with an adult male, if it's acceptable, mom, dad accept this, going to say, well, this is okay. What's going to happen if that child's going to be in the hands of a pedophile? He's going to think it's okay, right? Just think about it. It's a logic. I mean, I cannot comprehend the disgusting concept that is this. We're going to fight this, whether you like it or not. One time I watched Board of Education online, and I literally stood there and cried, watching every single one of you saying, that is so educated. I can't even say it how educating that book's supposed to be for our children. Those materials are too heavy for them. Too heavy. They're confused. Why are you putting more confusion? I'm speaking to here for every single one of children. And I don't want to make any division. I love them all. And I'm here for them. Another thing I want to speak about, and my daughter was a freshman here. She came home one day and said, Mom, Planned Parenthood was in school today. I said, for what? They clearly stated that you don't need to talk to your parents about if you get pregnant, we'll take care of it. What is that? Here, I'm going to say something.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Who's going to hold your child's
Sorry, your time is
care
up.
when something really is going to
Ma'am,
happen?
your time is up.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. As I sign in, I just want to note that after many months of watching you on my flat screen at home, it's a pleasure to be here in person. I feel like I'm standing in front of celebrities. I am Martha Hickson. I am the librarian at North Hunterdon High School. And we just finished signing in, and I'll tell you what I have to say. I had several versions of remarks prepared tonight, depending on how the night went. I was hoping I would not have to deliver this version, but here we are. Thank you for making this time available tonight. Under the guise of asserting their own First Amendment rights, throughout this school year, protesters have actually attempted to trample the rights of every student in the district. Let's be clear about their demands. They want to ban books in the United States of America in the 21st century. More than 70 years ago, paraphrasing George Santayana, Winston Churchill told the world that those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it. What can we, then, here and now, learn about the history of book banning? 35 years after the crucifixion of Christ, Roman Emperor Caligula forbade the reading of Homer's Odyssey because he thought it expressed dangerous Greek ideas of freedom. Starting in 1559 and for more than 400 years, the Catholic Church published a list of forbidden works which included condemnation of Galileo's theories about the solar system and the discoveries of Copernicus. And in 1933, bonfires across Nazi Germany consumed the works of authors the regime considered subversive, including Albert Einstein, Ernest Hemingway, Jack London, and Helen Keller. The pattern of history is clear. Time and again, when books are banned, the long-term result is that the controversial becomes commonplace, and sometimes even part of the classic canon. Also classic is a court ruling from 1949 that offers guidance for us today. Not long after Churchill warned the world to learn from history, Pennsylvania court judge Curtis Bach ruled in the case Commonwealth v. Gordon, in which 54 Philadelphia booksellers faced obscenity charges for offering such works as Studs Lonigan by James Farrell, Wild Palms by William Faulkner, and God's Little Acre by Erskine Caldwell. In his opinion opposing censorship, Bach wrote, quote, "It will be asked whether one would care to have one's young daughter read these books. I suppose that by the time she is old enough to wish to read them, she will have learned the biologic facts of life and the words that go with them. There is something seriously wrong at home if those facts have not been met and faced and sorted by then. It is not children so much as parents that should receive our concern about this. I should prefer that my own 3 daughters meet the facts of life and the literature of the world in my library, for I can face the adversary there directly. If the young ladies are appalled by what they read, they can close the book. If they read further, they will learn what is in the world and in its people. And no parents who have been discerning with their children need fear the outcome. Nor can they hold it back, for life is a series of little battles and minor issues, and the burden of choice is on us all, every day, young and old," unquote. April is National School Library Month. In honor of that occasion, let us choose to learn from history. Let us choose not to fear books. Let us choose to support students.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
One second, Len.
Lynn Monroe, Union Township.
I think someone else wants to come up.
My name is Maureen Baumgartner. I live in Tewksbury Township. I am Managing Director and founder of Ladies for America First. I am very sad. I think everybody in this panel should watch the movie, Whose Children Are They? My goodness gracious, where's the line? Where is it gonna end? How far are they gonna push it? I can't believe I'm standing here and we are actually having a discussion about these books and these behaviors, and we are allowing this in our school systems. We are gonna fight hard to take down the NEA. I am telling you that right now, and I'm proud to say that. And any librarian who has these books allows them in the library, and you guys vote them in. It's not about book burning. Where do you draw the line? There's gotta be a line here, right, Mr. Nealon? Where do we draw the line? This is wrong. Thank you very much.
all know who I am by now. I'm a bit of a history buff. We live in a constitutional democracy, and our First Amendment to our Constitution is free speech. There are all kinds of people in this district. There are conservative Christians, there are middle-of-the-road Christians, there are liberal Christians, there are Jews, there are Muslims, and there are, like myself, Unitarian Universalists. Some of us believe one way, and some of us believe another. But one thing you can know for sure, for those of you who are not aware, something called the Treaty of Tripoli, that Jefferson basically signed, and it says that this is not a Christian nation. And the reason that he said that was because the Muslims were concerned about being rejected in some ways for the fact that this was a Christian country. And he said it because of the separation of church and state that our Constitution gives us. And as the resident lesbian in the room lesbian in the room tonight, I would like to tell everybody in this room, I am a lesbian, but the lesbian and gay and bisexual do not equal pedophilia. My wife is 2 years younger than me, not 20 years younger than me. I have no interest in little children other than handing them a lollipop and discussing an ABC's book. This needs to be said here in this room. This is not about pedophilia. I came from a conservative Republican family. We did not discuss homosexuality in my home. And yet I have known I am gay since I was 19, and I am now 62. I can't believe we're standing here discussing this in the 21st century. And I'm concerned that somewhere along the line, if this continues with the book burnings, I'm going to have to move to Scotland where it's safe for me, or Canada where it's safe for me. The children of this district are safe from the members of the LGBT community.
I don't need to sign anything, do I? One more time, sorry. Nicole Gallo of Mount Township. I don't think not one person stood up here tonight to say that we do not like the LGBT community. I never accused anybody that they were going to hurt a child. I don't want any child susceptible to pedophilia. When there's a book with a boy giving a man a blowjob, that's a problem. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. It could be heterosexual, it doesn't matter. And if those books are in the library too, for heterosexuals, they need to go too. I am not a racist. I am not a bigot. I love every person that walks on this earth. But I love them enough to tell you the truth. And for any LGBT person to stand here and say that I hate them, and that I'd say that they're going to pedalize, they're going to hurt a child, that's not true. But when you put books in a library that cross over a criminal threshold, putting our children at danger, that's a problem. There's mama bears, there's papa bears, and there's plenty of LGBTQ families out there that disagree with the books as well. I'm not looking to ban a book. This is the 21st century. We do have a First Amendment right, but we also have a right to protect our children. I mean, every time I come to these board meetings, all it's about is about inclusion and diversity and LGBT. What about academics? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and I gotta be honest with you. I'm starting to see faces, and I'm starting to figure out who here we can trust and who we can't trust. And that goes in the community, that goes in administration. Looking at the budget, enrollment's down, but the budget is going a lot to a lot of administrators and a lot of teachers out here. Why do we need all the administrators and teachers? Is it for the NJEA dues? I don't know. Seems like there's a lot of stuff being unfolded here, but I will not be stood up here, I will not be called a bigot, and I will not be accused of blaming somebody for attempting to be a pedophile to our kids. The books are disgusting, they're dirty, and even LGBT should not be looking at pedophilia, because I care about them too.
Martha Nixon, librarian, North Ribbon High School. We all know it's school library month, I told you that before, but unfortunately, school librarians have very little to celebrate because across the country, fringe groups are demanding removal of books from libraries in record numbers, and those demands come wrapped, as we have just seen, in misinformation, another plague with a national scope. So to celebrate School Library Month, I would like to give the board a gift, a set of tools to help you fight misinformation. These are some of the same tools that I give to our students. First, how do you know that you might be receiving misinformation? The simple answer is, let your emotions be your guide. When you read or hear something so unbelievable that it makes you angry, fearful, or upset, the outrageous claim that school librarians are groomers, for example, that's a sign that information is being used to bypass your common sense and manipulate your deeply held values. That's also a sign that you need to unpack that information by stopping, investigating, finding better coverage, and tracing claims. 4 steps that you can easily remember with the acronym SIFT, a set of techniques that professional fact checkers employ before using information. The S in SIFT is for stop. When you're online, that means using click restraint. Instead of clicking on the first search result, review the result titles, URLs, and snippets to find a source that is both trustworthy and relevant. In a face-to-face forum like this, consider what you're seeing and hearing before you engage with the information. What kind of content is it? Is it advocacy, research, rumor? Who created or is delivering it? Is their demeanor appropriate for the setting? Are they complying with meeting rules? If you can't answer these questions, use the rest of the SIFT moves to better understand what you're dealing with. I stands for investigate the source to determine reputation and expertise. Online, use a technique called lateral reading. Leave the pager on and find out what others say about the source's expertise and agenda. In a face-to-face forum, use your own experience and common sense. What is the person's connection to the district? What is the person's past track record of interactions? What organizations or platforms are they affiliated with? If you care about the claim, but you're concerned about the quality of the source, use the F in SIFT, which stands for Find Better Coverage. Get the best reporting or analysis on the topic, rather than just accepting the information that happened to find its way to you. Use the News tab on Google to look for coverage by a reputable news organization you already trust. Or add the phrase fact check to your Google search to see what professional fact checkers say about the topic. Finally, the T in SIFT stands for tracing claims and quote to the original context. If a source is summarizing information, it may have been taken out of context, resulting in accidental or intentional errors, or skewed emphasis. We saw vivid examples of this in September, and again tonight, when out-of-context quotes were read from library books. Examine the original context. You may find a very different picture. So that's how you sift. On your handout is a summary of the steps, along with a link to the online tutorials that I use with students. I hope you find it useful.
I'm sorry, your time is up. Madam President, 30 minutes.
I'm sorry, the 30 minutes are up for public comment. I'd like to move forward with the meeting and call for a motion and a second to approve agenda items 12.1 to 14.16.
Motion.
Rob?
Second.
Kara? All in favor?
Any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, any questions?
There's gonna be 2 abstentions for training,
Okay.
and myself as well, 14.16.
All in favor?
Other than that,
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, we know. And then any nays? Okay. Motion passes. At this point, we are calling for any old or new business. Does anyone have any old or new business to discuss?
I got one.
Sure.
I'm wondering if we should consider an ad hoc committee to start looking again at regionalization in our district. Just feels like from what we heard from Deb, from the County School Boards Association, I think we'd rather not be laggards here. Let's get ourselves in a forward-leaning posture and see what our district and our communities, and I say we form an ad hoc committee and we invite the K-8s to send representation. And let's start talking about it, because
I would volunteer for that.
I think it's past time to start talking about it.
To that note, Jessica and I, as you know, each quarter we meet with the sending district board president and vice presidents, and we have our meeting coming up in May. Maybe we ask Gwen Thornton to attend that one since it's our region sending districts, and see if she could clarify, because it was some of our sending districts that had the most misinformation on it, so.
And just a suggestion, do you remember when it's probably like 4 years now, I think South Hunterdon came to speak because they merged Stockton, a few of the schools, and it was such a process that we did, you just don't think of those things. It might be great to have someone come from the district, a representative, to
From
speak
South
on that,
Hunterdon.
from South Hunterdon, because they had an ad hoc committee as well with, parents, teachers, admin, and they came and spoke to us, and it was very enlightening,
Okay.
so.
I have a question along those same lines. I know at the state level, Senator Sweeney, who lost this past year, he was a proponent of streamlining the regionalization process because it's such a hurdle for these districts or for any group of districts to go through this process. And but he was kind of on the one end of the political spectrum from the current administration in Trenton, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of. I just don't know if has anything changed in Trenton to. I know other districts are studying it, but is there really anything that's been done to make this mechanism easier, or is it ultimately going to be a?
They released grant money to help districts pay for regionalization studies, but nothing's been streamlined in the process.
Because I think that's the biggest hurdle, is once, everybody could agree in theory, but it's such a long process. It gives the opportunity for opponents of that regionalization to trip up the process in the middle of it. And, back from when we started studying it originally as a board, that was a big concern, we do all this work for naught, because it could be easily sidetracked, but I think we definitely, I agree with you. It sounds like some of the K-8s who were the original opponents of it, they're seeing, that they're suffering from the declining state aid.
There was a bill introduced in the Assembly in January, it's A481, and it's proposing to have the Department of Education establish a pilot program that studied the feasibility of regionalization of certain school districts and would appropriate $150,000 towards that end. It's been recommended or referred to the Assembly Education Committee, and that's where it's still sitting to this day. That was introduced in January.
Okay.
And two things.
Sure.
The Hall of Fame Committee, we're celebrating accolades, achievements of students as we're, coming upon graduation. Do we have a committee, and for both schools, are they, where are we?
We did, Tom Roll was running it, but then Tom left, so it's hasn't gone anywhere, so we could reestablish that.
Can we look at that? And then also, I was out last month due to an illness. I did attend a PD for school board members, and it was regarding superintendent evaluation. I have information I can forward to everyone. I'm just wondering if we're going to be starting that. We're a little bit behind the 8 ball. Should have started in April.
Okay.
And that's all.
Anyone else?
Kim, are you gonna email that out?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
I'd like to call for a motion and a second to adopt the attached resolution 04262222 for executive session to discuss matters falling under category 8 as reflected in the attached resolution. The board expects to be in executive session for approximately 1 hour and to return to public session, and upon return to public session, action will be taken. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We have a first and a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, first and a second.
So moved.
Dan,
Second.
Beth. All right, we're in executive session. Call for a motion and a second to reconvene public session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Against? Motion carries. Agenda item 18 is any new business? Do we have any new business to discuss?
Can I just ask, I saw on the bills list, the graduation cords and honors. Is there any way we can, instead of having those turned in, I mean, it's such a nominal fee that the seniors, from those honors, they get to keep them? Because other districts do that, they keep them.
I think we're doing that.
Is that what we're
They
doing?
used to return sashes for National Honor Society.
Is that what it was? Are we still doing that?
I believe they went to cords for National Honor Society, now, so kids get to keep them.
Perfect.
Cords are cheaper, sashes were pretty expensive, that's why it was.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And I just wanted to reiterate what Rob had said. Can we add to new business to set up an ad hoc regarding regionalization and also to reestablish the history of the sports
Hall of
committee
Fame.
that Tom Roll had done, yeah.
I think both are great ideas.
Yeah, revive them.
And I like the Hall of Fame coming back. Yeah.
Voorhees has it, had it, I guess, in the past. If you go into your drive.
We had it north too, because my brother-in-law was on the first ones that were inducted for north, so.
Mr. Peterson put it in there. It's in your drive if you look at it. If anyone's interested, you can go look it up.
Any other new business? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 19.1 and 19.2? Shelley?
Second.
And
Did you
Deb.
say second?
And that's a most, oh. Shelley
Did you
and Deb.
Me. My fault.
And that's a roll call vote.
So now you can call for discussion,
Oh, any items for discussion?
and then you can move to amend 19.1 to amend items 4.5 and 4.6 to remove that staff member's name.
So we need a motion for that?
Motion to amend.
Motion
Okay,
to
motion
amend.
to amend.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or,
It's a motion
Okay.
to amend, we're removing.
okay, motion to amend
19.1.
19.1 to remove
Mr. Case's name.
Mr.
from
Case's
items
name.
4.5 and 4.6.
from 4.5 and 4.6 from the tenure and the recommendations for reappointment.
Any discussion? And if not,
Any discussion?
then
No.
vote.
Okay.
And we have the hand carry.
And we have the
We'll
hand
do
count.
them separately.
Okay.
So this is a vote to amend 19.1 to remove Mr. Case's name from 4.5 and 4.6. So you just need a
Voice
vote on
vote,
this.
voice vote. Right. Voice vote or roll call?
I generally, on action items,
It's a
prefer
roll call.
a roll call vote.
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Crisalogo? Yes. Mr. Farfanish?
Yes.
Ms. Zins?
Yes.
Ms. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchberger?
Yes.
Mr. Meelan?
Yes.
Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Stree is absent, and Ms. Viado?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
So now you need a motion to vote, or a vote on the underlying, which is 19.1 and 19.2.
Okay. Can I have a call for a motion and a second to
No, you
approve?
already have that motion.
Oh,
So now
okay.
there's just any discussion and then a vote.
Any further discussion on that?
Any further discussion on 19.1 or 19.2?
And now you can do
Do we need to have the hand carry now?
it. No, we need that.
The hand carries next.
All right, we'll get through it.
Slowly but surely.
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Crisalogo?
Yes.
Mr. Farfanish?
Yes.
Ms. Zins?
Yes.
Ms. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchberger?
Yes.
Mr. Meelan?
Yes.
Ms. Salino?
Yes to 19.1 and abstain from 19.2 as I was absent.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Straight is absent, and Ms. Viado?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
And now you can ask for motion to carry.
Can I call for a motion and a second to approve action items 1 through 7, including the hand carries as presented and recommended by the superintendent? All positions serve students in grades 9 through 12, and payment is from the general fund unless otherwise noted and is made through the payroll check, including item 7.1, which is our motion to abolish the director of Special Services job description and position effective July 1st, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Discussion,
Any discussion?
if none, that you call for a vote.
All right, then, Katie, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Grisaloga?
Yes.
Mr. Farfanish?
Yeah.
Ms. Higgs?
Yes.
Ms. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchberger?
Yes.
Mr. Mueller?
Yes.
Ms. Salinas?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Straight and Ms. Beato?
Yes. Can I call for a motion and a second to adjourn?
A motion.
Kim?
Second.
Deb? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.